You're now currently CEO. Bolt, as we know, enables one-click checkout, which Amazon itself popularized. So what kinds of merchants are you working with at Bolt, and where and how might our listeners come across Bolt's technology?
So one of the things I realized working at Amazon is consumers, we talked about the convenience of one click and how easy people want to buy. They really like that. They got used to it. Now people also want to buy from places beyond Amazon, right? Like people like that, the experience aspect that a lot of different brands are able to provide. The D2C, the direct to consumer, is becoming a big theme. But the problem is that technology doesn't really exist for most of the merchants outside of Amazon. I don't know, no, last time you went to buy something outside of some new brands, you go, you really like something, you want to buy it, and then you click on the buy, and then it is asking for a long order form where you have to type in all of your information and all of your credit card details. And that feels antiquated. You don't expect that. And even with the younger consumers who have even less span of attention, this is a distraction that they don't want to move forward. So what Bolt is providing is that accelerated buying experience. When you want to buy something, how can we make that buying super easy? Bringing that to merchants. And we started working for small and medium businesses, which we continue to do. But what we have done over time is we expanded our services to everybody, because we found that as much as this is a problem for the small and medium business, it's a bigger problem for larger merchants, and it's a bigger problem for large portfolio merchants. So we provide an accelerated one-click checkout experience for merchants of all size and scale. And the way we provide is fairly unique in the sense that we provide a white labeled or a gray labeled product for merchants. So we provide an in-brand experience for merchants. You see that there are buttons nowadays that allow you to do sometimes a faster checkout. And one or two would have been good, but now there are so many buttons that allow you to make buying the choice on a merchant site. And while that's helpful for shoppers, it would be great if the merchant natively provide that one-click checkout experience, just like how Amazon does. So we are building a product, or we have the product that's used by a lot of merchants today, where they can provide that accelerated one-click checkout all by themselves, provide that in-brand experience native to them.
So all the information for the user is stored where then, such that it's easy for the merchant to extract that information?
Yeah, think of it's a network of shoppers. So if, let's say, I go and shop on a particular site, for example, something like a Lucky Jeans brand site, I buy something, and even if I've never been on that site, what we look for is have that shopper shopped on any of the other site that use Bolt checkout. And if they have shopped anywhere else, we go look up and say, we know who you are, and we have all your information. Why don't we skip all the friction extra process that usually you have to go through and just give you an accelerated one-click checkout experience? And that's a very convenient experience for a shopper, but it also matters to the retailers, because we know with data that when we provide that accelerated checkout experience without friction, there is a 30 to 50% increase in conversion at that checkout. So you're essentially helping merchants to increase their top line by accelerating or providing that accelerated checkout experience.
So you mentioned that this one-click checkout experience, issues with conversion at the end of a checkout experience is an issue for large and small merchants alike. And you wrote on a blog post for Bolt that the average cart abandonment rate in e-commerce is 70%, which adds up to $1 trillion in lost annual revenue. So this is people adding things to their cart and leaving and not actually checking out. So does this final step get neglected by merchants? Is it just hard for consumers to commit at the end of the transaction? Why are we seeing such a high cart abandonment rate?
It's the biggest pet peeve of mine. Like retailers are spending so much time and money bringing shoppers to their website, and they take them through, give them an experience. You buy something, and they add to cart, and then now you have a high intent shopper who is ready to buy something, and you click on that checkout button. Like you said, it's 70% of shoppers drop off right at that point, and 80% if you are on mobile. So it's a huge problem for retailers. So what we know is if we can remove all the friction from the process at that point, it provides an immediate conversion, which is a great top line improvement for retailers. And the reason why sometimes this get dropped down is what I found is that some retailers are not looking deeply into that particular point, because most of the time you have marketing teams that are very focused on bringing shoppers to their site and taking them all the way through. And once they add to cart, you consider that as a success. And then from the cart, it usually taken over by a payments team who is now like trying to figure out how to reduce the cost of payments. And sometimes it's less of a focus of how do you make sure that that last click that really matters, which is where the consumer is actually buying, you have that end-to-end focus. So think about a physical store. It's an amazing store, and you have great experience, and people put everything in the cart, and then they went to that checkout line. And if you have a really bad experience at that, that's not helpful. So how do you think about that end-to-end? So this is where I spend most of the time, a lot of time directly with the CEOs of retailers, where how do we discuss this ideas of how do we think about this end-to-end? How can we really work with, most of the good brands now, they have a head of e-commerce really looking at it. Some of the CMOs are really now looking at and extending to say, okay, how do I look at this end-to-end? And some companies have created this head of e-commerce role to really look at this end-to-end. So I'm starting to see more retailers really paying attention to this now. But that has been a new trend, and we are here to help them with technology to accelerate their vision.
Business casual.